Welcome to Tea and Token Thursdays, where four toys gather together on Thursdays at 4 o'clock to talk about the world of j.r.r. Tolkien and beyond. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. You know who I am, and I hate all of you. Meow. Hi, I'm Carrie.
And I'm Humphrey. Guess what today is? What's today? It's Thursday! Who wants to smack Thanos with a hammer? I do.
Yeah, we all want to hit Thanos with a hammer.
But he doesn't have a hammer anymore. He has Stormbreaker now. Yes! Let's split Thanos in half! Does he always do this?
Yes, Justin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Justin Beaver, and I will be guest hosting with them today. But don't ask me to sing any Justin Bieber songs. Not me, often me, and this.
Justin! Please sing me a favorite song!
Out the studio, girls.
Aww. Well, today, we just can't stop being controversial. As if we weren't controversial enough with our last video segment, which was when we talked about those token white people.
Token white people?
But before we do that, we need to sing our theme song.
Which is...
Yeah. We are the toy, and we're coming to get you, Thanos. So you better watch out, because the toy Avengers are coming for you. We will slap you, and we'll scratch your eyes out, and we won't stop until you choke to death, because we are the toy Avengers.
Wow, Toy Avengers? Seriously? That needs to be a thing.
Wow, it's always a thing. Yeah, we've been singing it since we all watched Infinity War.
I know! That was so freaking messed up, man. They totally killed Spider-Man, which was not cool. Ugh, my little sister cried during that scene. And they even killed Black Panther. Why would they do that?
Ugh! Up you to you! Thanos! You killed the Black Panther!
Yeah, that dude literally just became the King of Wakanda, and they killed him. That's not cool, man. Okay, but I was watching your Token White People segment, and you were saying something about representation.
Yes, and now comes the controversial part of the show. What is representation? Yeah, does it matter? Let's ask ourselves one question and then answer it. So, does representation matter? Yes, it does. But it's how we use representation that determines the difference between a good movie and a bad movie. And what's a good movie? A good movie is plenty of representation, such as, whoa, before you continue, here's what I have to say. I know a lot of people took a lot of issue when we talked about Black Panther.
Well, I don't see a lot of issues coming up, but you guys did make some good points.
Well, when we talked about representation, we talked about, actually, we only talked about the token white guys. Yeah, those token white guys. And while we were talking about that, we had to ask ourselves, does representation really matter? We say yes. Yes, it does. But how is the bigger question? Yeah, the bigger question is do we need representations? And what is representation? Do we need it? Well, representation in books and movies and music has been an issue now for a very long time. Yeah, everybody says that representation is very important. But you gotta ask yourself this question. Do you want to see somebody that looks like you on TV or in the movies or in a book and be happy? Yeah. But the issue we take with that is that it appears to be a bit, how should I say this politely? Forced. It feels forced. Yeah, and we can't. And how we can't see that is shocking. Such as, well, they take a lot of issues with LGBT representation, which, unfortunately, they want to force on today's society. We got people going around saying, look, I ain't going to read your story or watch your movie if you don't have LGBT or POC, people of color characters in it. Studios have been notoriously throwing those characters around in their stories just and that not have them do anything. But the problem is that most of these so-called LGBT or PC characters don't have a personality. No personality? No. They got no personality, no goals, nothing interesting about them. Yeah. Yeah, like, what are they like? Do they have friends? Do they get along with their parents? Like, come on. Well, they say that Lord of the Rings was panned for not being diverse enough. But come on, when you take a look at it, there is a good amount of diversity when it comes to the various races of Middle Earth. Well, take Fellowship of the Ring, for example. In the Fellowship, we had 4 hobbits, 2 men, 1 elf, 1 dwarf, and a wizard. Yep, sounds like a diverse group to me. Well, of course, hobbits are notorious for never leaving the shower and going on adventures. But the thing is, Tolkien was also panned for not including women in his stories. But guess what? You're just walking around with your eyes closed. Yes, Tolkien wrote about women, but not all of them were like Eowyn. I mean, come on, not all of them could be like Eowyn. But I really didn't appreciate that people took issue towards including Tario in the Hobbit movies. Like the producers were pandering towards women who watch the Hobbit movies by creating Tario. But guess what? They weren't pandering in any way. Like, look, Tario was her own person. She had her own agenda. She wasn't just a love interest. Come on, she had her own ideas. I personally wish that wasn't an issue and people can write whatever they want. They don't need to be yelled at like, oh, you're not writing real characters. Like, oh, you're putting such and such in your story. Or, let's do this. So you're writing this story. And I'm reading the comments. And the comments are like, wow, there are no LGBT characters in it. Or, wow, they're making disabled people look bad. Or, wow, there's no disabled characters in the story. Like, oh, come on. Like, can we all just shut up for a second? Think about it. What? It's your story, and you can write it the way you want to write it. But let's be careful with how you write it, because people are saying that those who are not LGBT are seen as bad guys, or those with disabilities are good, and normal people are bad. Which is kind of what I'm dealing with right now with my own story. The thing is this. They also say that you can write your story your own way, and your story is how you see things. And the thing is, how you see something and how somebody else sees something is completely different, and that's okay. But the thing is, you're trying to be realistic. Of course I'm trying to be realistic. And number 2, let's just say that I'm guilty of not writing characters that people want to see. That's okay, because you don't have to write those kinds of stories. You don't want to. I don't want to. And I'm not going to write it at all, and I'm not going to read it. So you're not going to write it, and you're not going to read it. And this is just one of the things that we're going to have to deal with. Like, you listen here, you listen good. If you're crying about something that's not being represented, the problem might not lie with the person writing the story. The problem might lie with you. You want something in the story? You write it yourself. If you write it yourself, you could be happier. Write it yourself, all right? That's how I see it. And another thing, if you want to be represented or have something explored from your point of view, you do it yourself. You want an LGBT character? You do it yourself. Stop waiting on Hollywood and other writers to do it for you. That's why we have YouTube and Wattpad. All right, so you're not going to write those characters. Nope, I'm not going to do it. There's one more thing that we haven't discussed yet. Don't expect everyone to like it, okay? Most people won't like your story, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. Thank you for including that. Now, the second part of the show is called Characters in the Books That Never Got to the Movies. You don't see a lot of Bjorn in the movie. Well, guess what? You didn't see a lot of Bjorn in the books either. So why should that be any different? Yes, here's the problem. Yes, there wasn't a lot of Bjorn in The Hobbit, but there was something else. People were mad at Peter Jackson for not including Tom Bombadil in the Lord of the Rings movies. But guess what? The problem is we didn't see a lot of Tom Bombadil in the Lord of the Rings books either. So do you really, and besides, do you really think he was going to handle the problems with the ring? You mean help them? Oh, wait. I didn't help them. Exactly. But to be fair, Ralph Bashir did not feature Tom Bombadil in his Lord of the Rings movie either. And there was no sign of j.r.r. in the Rankin Bass movie version of The Hobbit either. So there's that. You're right, Susie. Tom Bombadil wasn't in the Lord of the Rings cartoon either, so there's that. There's also the issue about why the sons of Elrond didn't appear in the Lord of the Rings movies. Well, they spoke about that on Torn Tuesday, and Jaquan was quoted on the show. What did she say? Well, I said, and I quote, I hate to disagree, but there are some people that were great in the books, but probably shouldn't be in a movie. I mean, it might have been great to have the sons of Elrond in the books, but they wouldn't feel right in a movie based on said book. That's another thing that we need to talk about. So you're basically saying that some characters were good in the books, but they don't translate well to the screen. Yeah, and that's how some movies flop. Yeah, it's not always the story. Sometimes it's the characters that cause the movie flop. See, the characters in the story make the story, but one bad character could wreck the entire story. So, no matter how good the story looks, but if the characters don't match up, the story goes kaput. And if you're trying to make characters read the same way they were in the books, well, that would suck.
Of course, that would definitely suck. Like, why would we have Peter and Paul do something that Thomas could do by himself? Like, you get way too many characters in your story, you ruin it.
I say, you don't need 100 people to do what 2 people could do.
Wait. That was what T'Challa meant when he said a Black Widow in Captain America Civil War. I mean, wait. What exactly did T'Challa say to Black Widow in Captain America Civil War?
He said, 2 people can do more than what 100 people can do. But then T'Chaka said, unless it was moving a piano.
I know, right? I mean, he had a point. But then again, I can't believe they killed T'Chaka in that movie.
I know. Bow! What a tragedy.
Bow!
Well, we also said that Tario wasn't in the Hobbit book. But we also didn't see Legolas in the book either. But then again, Legolas lived in Mirkwood, so it made sense to have Legolas be in the part of the movie where the dwarves and Bilbo go to Mirkwood.
Don't forget, Legolas' dad, the Randall, ruled over Mirkwood. Why do people take issue with that? Come on, Legolas is a prince, and yes, he probably met the dwarves at some point.
Some people just aren't happy with anything. Bow! Some people will never be satisfied with what they have.
Bow! Well, you never saw Tario in the books, but she was there. You never saw Legolas in the book, but he was there. Just because you never saw a character didn't mean they weren't there. You're begging for LGBT characters, but you don't know that some of them were already there. But stop demanding that people put that type of character in the stories because they don't want to. What if it's not about them? You want to make a character? You want them to tell the story the way you want to tell the story? How are you going to tell the story when somebody talks about their race or their gender preferences or their disability or being transgendered every 5 seconds?
Wow, that's interesting.
Wait, I'm not finished yet. You see, I was reading this one essay and it talked about that and how a story had flopped because no matter how good they saw you, you shouldn't put anything such as your racial ethnicity, your sexual preference, or your gender preference in front of who you really are. If you do that, that's all they're going to see you as when they look at you.
I know.
And it was like that in that other story about why you shouldn't make that your whole life. You should be out there making something better of yourself. Like you should be better off than you are. You're more than what you want to be. And I think people need to understand that.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, that's very interesting coming from you. Yeah, coming from me. Thank you very much. So yes, representation does matter. But it ain't enough for representation. What do you want that character to do? It's not what they are. It's what they do. You don't want somebody who's different of a different race and doesn't do anything, right? Characters that don't do anything don't advance the story. I mean, we don't need characters like that clogging up the story. We need characters that help advance the story. You might not like a supporting role, but guess what? Not everyone could be the main hero of the story.
Of course, not everyone gets to be the main character. But then again, as they say, history is written by the winners to punish the losers.
Like, we don't have stories about good orcs?
Exactly. The Lord of the Rings was written by hobbits, and all they saw were evil orcs.
Well, aren't there any good orcs around? Like, were some orcs ever good?
Well, we never heard of any bad hobbits, unless you count the Sackville Bagginses, who tried to take Bilbo's house because Lobelia was a jealous cat.
And there were some mean elves and mean dwarves, but we don't see them often. Because guess who was writing the story about the Hobbit? Bilbo the Hobbit. And he wrote what he saw. And were there black people living in Lake Town when Bilbo and the dwarves were there? Yes. Because, well, before Smaug came, Lake Town had been the center of trade in the northern part of Middle Earth.
And then Smaug came and ruined everything.
Ah! Smaug! And to be honest, I think Benedict Cumberbatch was a very good Smaug.
Now we're saying how much Doctor Strange.
I mean, he made a very convincing Doctor Strange, but they took a lot of issue in the alleged whitewashing of certain characters, like Agent One.
Yeah. Like a couple of years ago, there was this whole race bending issue when the last Avatar,
you mean the last Airbender?
The last Airbender movie came out in the theaters until 2010, and I'm like, oh my God, y'all seriously griping about that? It's called Look. Do you want to see a bunch of people that look like you and yet don't do anything? Or do you want an actor who knows how to play a character and carry the story?
Exactly.
Look, we just can't stop being controversial enough. Yeah, this segment hasn't died yet. We still have a lot of unfinished business with the Black Panther movie. Well, we'll talk about that later. Okay. Thank you all for tuning into this podcast. And thank you to Justin Beaver for guest starring and surprising us with his immense knowledge about how to carry a story. You're welcome. Okay, let's close it out. You know who I am and you know what this is about, so please, everyone stay awesome and we'll see you today.
And remember, folks, don't fear the trolls, especially if they're ugly purple-skinned creatures like Thanos.
Wait. Not all purple-skinned people are bad.
But Thanos is giving them a bad name. Ugh. One day, there will be a purple-skinned character that is good. And when that happens, everyone will say, Thanos who?
Thank you, Humphrey. Now let's go because I have things to do. So, I own this show and the show is over, so meow. Goodbye!
Goodbye!
Meow.